Welcome to The Explainer. Now today, we are going to look at the literal building blocks of life itself. But actually, scratch that. We aren't just going to look at some static, boring biology diagrams. Instead, I want you to picture the cell as a bustling, highly efficient microscopic factory city. We're talking about a place with actual assembly lines, power plants, highly trained waste disposal squads, and complex logistics networks that are literally working tirelessly around the clock. Today, we're going to unpack exactly how this incredible cellular machinery operates.
So, just to keep our little tour organized, here's our game plan for today. 1. Welcome to the cytoplasm. 2. Single membrane assembly lines. 3. Demolition squads and storage. 4. Double membrane powerhouses. And 5. Membrane-free microorganelles.
All right, stop number 1. Welcome to the cytoplasm, which is basically our factory floor.
To really understand the cell, you first have to understand the space it occupies, right? The cytoplasm is defined simply as the material present between the cell membrane, which you can think of as the outer security wall of our factory, and the nucleus, which acts as the headquarters, or the big boss's office. Now, what's really interesting here is that this isn't just empty air. This is the vital physical space. It's the bustling floor that houses all the working organelles and holds literally everything in place so the factory can actually function.
And what exactly is this floor made of? Well, it's a remarkably simple recipe. The cytoplasm is fundamentally a fluid made up of a mixture of just water, salt, and sugar. Think of it almost like a microscopic sports drink filling up the inside of your cells. It's within this precise, watery environment that all the complex cellular organelles we're about to explore are suspended.
Moving right along to Part 2, Single Membrane Assembly Lines, Manufacturing and Shipping.
Okay, meet our first major piece of heavy machinery, the endoplasmic reticulum, or just the ER for short. Now, this one is categorized as a single membrane organelle. And notice how it attaches directly to the nuclear membrane? Yeah, that is entirely by design. It takes its orders straight from headquarters. The ER acts as the factory's primary assembly line, and it even pulls double duty by helping to segregate waste products. But the ER actually has two totally distinct departments, and this brilliantly illustrates how biological form dictates function. First up, we have the rough ER. It gets its name because its surface is covered in these tiny machines called ribosomes, which gives it a bumpy, rough look. Its main job? Protein formation. Then, on the flip side, we have the smooth ER. It completely lacks ribosomes, so it looks perfectly smooth, and its function is entirely different. It forms lipids, or fats.
So, the ER has manufactured all these raw proteins and lipids. Where do they go next? Well, they feed directly into the Golgi apparatus. This is another single membrane-bound organelle, and you can think of it as the ultimate chemical factory and shipping center. It receives the proteins and lipids from the ER, modifies them, packages them, and then transports them toward their final destinations. It basically acts as the secretory organ of the cell, pumping out these modified products inside what are called secretory vesicles. It is literally the ultimate logistics hub.
Part 3, Demolition Squads and Storage, Security, and Maintenance.
Before we reveal the next organelle on our tour, I want to pose a quick question to you. What happens when a cell gets hurt or is invaded by toxic bacteria? I mean, a factory can't just stop running every time a machine breaks or an intruder sneaks in, right? It needs a highly effective defense and cleanup crew.
Enter the lysosomes. These single membrane organelles have earned some incredibly dramatic nicknames from biologists over the years. They're known as the demolition squads of the cell because they use really strong hydrolytic enzymes to basically obliterate toxic materials put inside the cell by bacteria. But even wilder, they're also called suicide bags. If the cell gets too hurt or grows too old, lysosomes can actually digest and destroy the entire cell just to protect the larger organism. It's a hardcore waste removal process known as autolysis.
Yeah, it's a harsh but completely necessary reality of cellular survival. But right alongside these intense demolition squads, we have another crucial single membrane organelle that serves a much calmer purpose, the vacuole.
Vacuoles, which you'll also hear referred to as the tonoplast, are basically the factory's temporary storage warehouses for food and water. So the crucial point to take away here is the sheer difference in scale based on the type of cell. While they are present in both plant and animal cells, vacuoles are significantly larger in plant cells and much smaller in animal cells. Think about it. Plants can't exactly get up and walk to a water source when they get thirsty, so they absolutely need these massive internal water towers.
Section 4, Double membrane powerhouses, heavy-duty energy.
Now, you've almost certainly heard this name before. We are officially leveling up into the double-layered membrane organelles category, and our very first stop is the famous mitochondria. Its structure is significantly more complex, boasting two distinct layers that are completely vital for its heavy-duty energy-generating capabilities.
Let's break down that anatomy for a second. It has an outer membrane and an inner membrane that features these really complex folds known as cristae. Tucked inside those folds is a fluid called the matrix. This elaborate setup is exactly what allows the mitochondria to be the literal powerhouse of the cell. It's right here that ATP molecules are cranked out during aerobic respiration. I mean, the energy keeping you awake, focused, and watching this explainer right now, you can thank your mitochondria for that. And fascinatingly enough, they even have their very own DNA, entirely separate from the cell's nucleus.
But hey, the mitochondria isn't the only double membrane powerhouse on the block. We also have plastids. Just like mitochondria, they have a double membrane and contain their own unique DNA. However, the essential takeaway here is this: plastids are present in plant cells only. You definitely will not find these inside of you or me.
Plant cells actually rely on three totally distinct types of plastids to thrive, and this brilliantly illustrates just how specialized plant biology really is. First up, we have chromoplasts. These are non-green, highly colorful plastids. We're talking vibrant reds, oranges, and yellows, and their primary function is to give striking color to flowers and fruits, which heavily aids in pollination. Second is the chloroplast. These contain the green chlorophyll and perform the absolute magic of converting light energy directly into chemical energy. Finally, we have leucoplasts, which are totally colorless or white, and they play a critical behind-the-scenes role in food storage.
And you know that colorless leucoplast is so vital that it actually has 3 specific subtypes just for organizing the plant's internal pantry. Amyloplasts handle the storage of carbohydrates. Oleoplasts are specialized exclusively for storing lipids and fats. And proteinoplasts, well, as the name strongly suggests, they help in the storage of proteins. It is just incredibly, flawlessly organized, down to the absolute microscopic level.
And finally, Section 5, membrane-free microorganelles, the fundamental builders. Throughout this whole explainer, we've organized our factory tour by membranes, single and double, but we absolutely cannot forget ribosomes, which are strictly membrane-lacking organelles. Remember a few minutes ago when we talked about the rough ER being studded with tiny protein factories? Well, these are those factories, and they're universally essential. They're present in both prokaryotic cells, like your simple bacteria, and eukaryotic cells, just like ours.
Now, check out these two numbers, 70 and 80. Because ribosomes are just so incredibly small, scientists actually refer to them as microorganelles. They literally cannot be measured like normal cellular structures. Instead, they're measured in what's called a Swedberg unit, which calculates how fast they settle in a centrifuge. Prokaryotic ribosomes are typically 70 Swedbergs, while eukaryotic ones are 80 Swedbergs. It's a real testament to the mind-bogglingly tiny scale we are operating on here.
So we've officially toured the entire factory, from the watery floor of the cytoplasm to the energy-pumping mitochondrial powerhouses, all the way down to the tiny 80 Swedberg protein factories. When you sit back and see how perfectly organized and relentlessly efficient every single one of your cells is, it really leaves you with a profound question. How do these completely unthinking microscopic machines perfectly coordinate to construct the incredibly complex macro world we live in? The sheer mechanical brilliance of biology is just astounding. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I hope you leave today with a newly found appreciation for the trillions of tiny factory cities keeping you alive right now.